Good morning, Anne.
Good morning, Georgiana. How are you?
I'm good.
Good.
Good morning, everybody else.
Yes, good, everybody.
Hi. Okay, this might be our last primarily remote meeting. And I'm in the Shields Carter room for compliance with the revisions, that the emergency revisions to the Open Meetings Act. And I think we have a quorum. So I think so. So Dr. Robin, if you want to start the meeting, you can.
I will call the meeting to order. Can we have a roll call, please?
Deb Roosh. Georgiana Schuster.
Here.
Kim Fisher.
Here.
Vicki Nicewander. Ann Robin.
Here. Is Vicki not here, or did she just mute herself? Okay.
I can't tell. I can't see everybody, and I didn't let everyone in, so
Okay.
don't know.
See her on mine.
He is not here yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, let's hope Vicki will be able to get her connection going really soon. And I will ask for approval of the agenda as published in the meeting packet.
I can motion to approve the agenda as it stands.
I'll second. This is Deb.
Okay. All in favor? Oh, we have to do roll call.
Georgiana Schuster.
Yes.
Kim Fisher.
Yes.
Deb Roosh.
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. All right. So the next item is my comments, which will be very brief. This is one of the two big meetings of the year. And this is the meeting where we discuss all the funding proposals. And then the next meeting is where we vote on them. It is going to be a long meeting. I do not want to be the time taskmaster, but I'm going to be a little bit. I have budgeted 5 minutes for each proposal. There are some that may need a little bit more time than that, and there's some that may not need that much time. And my only request to people is that you stay focused in your comments. And if I notice that there's repetition going on, I may break in. But I want people to feel free to talk about what they need to talk about, and especially any concerns that they have or good things that they have. If we do not complete today's meeting by 11:30 a.m., when I have to leave, Lynn said she can go till 11:45. I think that's probably long enough. If we do not complete, we will schedule another meeting for the same time next week. Lynn and I already discussed that. So
And the room is available. We don't have any barriers to that. So
we have that as a back if we have to do that. And the other thing is I put the things that are usually up front, the citizen input and the successes and agency information at the back this time, because we will be talking a lot with the agencies, and we need to just really keep moving forward. Okay, Lynn, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us the good news.
oh, and no. The good news. Okay, the good news is the room is available if we need it. This is probably going to be our last remote meeting. So it's been a long time since we've been in this room setting up microphones and nameplates and asking people to sign the physical attendance sheet. It will be a really different experience. So, you know, thoughts and prayers are always appreciated. I would agree, Dr. Robin, there's so much material. Just the staff summaries of the applications are a substantial amount of material. The applications themselves are much more extensive than what you see in the packet. So if board members have questions for our staff about what we've written or about our interpretation of the application or anything related to that, please call on us And then if you have questions for the agency, please call on them. Otherwise, this should be primarily board discussion until we get to the later parts in the agenda for agency input and public input. And I know there are some issues that might take more time. So I also will try to be, kind of watching. So there's good news. I can't remember what it is because I'm so
Oh, I remember, Lynn.
Okay.
You said we actually have the money in the budget for that. We're not going to have to make draconian cuts and things. So we have enough money in the projected budget.
If you include the special initiatives fund.
If we include the special initiatives fund. So I want people to be really clear about that there are some things that have been kind of deferred over to the special initiatives fund. And we are going to have a separate discussion about that. Am I correct on that, Lynn?
We don't, well, it's been very hard to get the two boards together. So we're actually asking each board to talk about that while they're considering applications to the DD board. So the applications that we think would fit are included here for you to discuss. And then there may be others. So, we're just going to do our best to keep both boards posted. It's been tricky to set up extra meetings to put everybody together.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hope that's clear to people, and we can certainly have discussion about that as we go forward.
So there were no applications directly to the Special Initiatives Fund, but in our reading of some of these applications, we felt that they fit really nicely with the priorities and purposes of that fund. So you'll see comments about that as we go through.
Okay,
I just wanted to note that if there has to be a meeting next week, I won't be available next week for a second meeting.
Well, let's try to get done today.
Well, then I think I should end my comments so that we can get through it. Okay. You ready for the first? We have a couple of items of
approval of the board minutes from last month.
Here we go.
I'll move to approve them as presented.
And I'll second that. This is Georgiana.
Okay. Roll call, please. Who's doing the roll call?
Yes.
Deb Rush,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. Welcome, Vicky. How about the vendor invoice list on page 6? Motion to approve.
This is Vicky. I'll move to approve.
This is Deb. I'll second.
Okay. Roll call.
Vicky Nicewander,
Yes.
Deb Rush,
Yes.
Georgiana Schuster,
Yes.
Kim Fisher,
Yes.
Ann Robin.
Yes. All right. We are ready to move on to the meat of the meeting. And I am going to the page immediately following the invoice list, which it doesn't have a page number, but it is the
right. It's
list of.
There is a page number. It's number 7. It's right. It's very small.
Oh, I see. It's a tiny little 7. I was looking for a great big 7. Okay.
Yeah.
Page 7, tiny little 7. And we're going to go in order unless we need to change that. So the top of the page is CU Autism Network Community Outreach Program. Primary reviewer is Kim Fisher and secondary is Georgiana Schuster. So Kim, would you like to make a couple of remarks?
And could I ask a question?
Yeah.
Maybe different for each of you reviewers. Would you prefer, as I'm operating this, that I put the program summary on the screen or that we have a full screen so that you can talk and see people? Or both?
For me, the program summary is not needed. I can't read the screen and talk to people at the same time anyway, so.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. And this is Georgiana. It's not needed.
I have it right here.
So Dr. Fisher, what would you prefer?
I am okay either way. I don't know if folks that are in the audience would prefer to see it, but it's fine for me if we just see each other.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay, so I guess I'll start with the CUA Autism Network. I had the community outreach program. So this is just to clarify, well, first, thank you, staff, for the excellent summaries and for making the documents accessible. Like the navigation of all this material was like 1,000% easier than it had been last year. So I just want to express thank you in the public meeting for that. The community outreach program is a new program this next program year. It hadn't been funded last year. Some things that I noted was that there's like a 48% increase in funding for the community outreach program, which will do about 16 events, one per month in the community to raise awareness around autism and the autistic community. And then they'll do 4 pop-up events. They had goals around promoting inclusion and acceptance, increasing community awareness, and improving acceptance and inclusion of autistic people. The staff noted, and I totally agree, that the targets and the measurement don't quite match. So I had some questions around whether or not the measurements are really measuring the targets, and had a recommendation for them to maybe find better measurements of their targets. And there was a discussion, in something to note for the board members is like that there was a discussion that there are folks, they're planning to serve folks, obviously who come to events that are outside of Champaign County. So there might be people who get services through this program who are not Champaign County residents. So I'm not sure how we as a board would need to address that, because some of the Champaign County funds would be serving people outside the county. But maybe that's, I guess, a question for staff I have, if we should be concerned about that.
I guess I put that caution in there, just generally we do have to be diligent about the borders, but there may be other sources of funding in the, across the region. This program, hopes to serve a greater region, and they may have access to other funding. So I would just encourage them to either get the other funding or focus on Champaign County. It's also a pretty ambitious plan, and it might be nice just to focus on Champaign County in the first year. So, well, they took a year off basically. Anyway,
Right.
I don't know if that answers it, but
It does. And it's a pretty significant increase in funding from the last time, 48% more. So I guess that was a concern for me. So I would recommend that we fund them, but with the revisions that were recommended in the report. So clarify that the services are going to be for Champaign County residents, add additional diversity of funding, modify their measurement of their outcomes. And then there was some budget, like clarifying the categorization of some of the budget pieces. Oh, and then the last piece was I think if I read this correctly, and I went to the application, so it's possible I misread it, but they don't have a cultural and linguistic competence plan. Is that right? That they don't have the staff to implement that, but it's possible I misread that. So can staff, can you clarify for me that whether or not that's true?
Chandra, do you want to take it? I think that there is a plan, but it may be that because this is has been a volunteer run organization for a long time, the plan may be missing some pieces. And so Chandra's hope was to work with them on improving the plan, but his plan was submitted.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. So yeah, so I think, with those changes, that would be my recommendation. I don't know, Georgiana, if you've had anything different.
The biggest question I had, it maybe could be cleared up, is the other organizations, when I go online and just look up Champaign-Urbana autism, I get a few organizations and I wonder if they still exist and if there's some coordination between these. There's the Autism Center, there's TAP, there's the Lighthouse Autism Center, there's a CU Autism Network. Do those still exist, or how I hate to have an overlap of, several organizations doing the same thing.
Well, this is CU Autism Network. So that one is clear. They collaborate quite a bit with TAP. I don't know about the Autism Center. I don't know if there's collaboration. I thought they mentioned Lighthouse. Maybe not. But I agree. Like, I think coordination, even not just about just having one provider who does the thing, but if there are several providers doing the thing, they can make sure
Work together.
like they can make sure everybody's getting what they need and no one's missing by collaborating. So I think you raise a really great point. Like, whether it's that set that you mentioned or another set of similar providers, there should be that kind of collaboration.
Okay, that was my only concern, I guess, that there are maybe other providers and they should be working together.
Dr. Fox has requested to speak. If everyone is open to that, he's in the chat.
Okay, who is Dr. Fox?
He's the new executive director of the Autism Network.
Okay, I'm going to say thank you, Dr. Fox, but we are not going to allow that at this time because this is the first item that we're discussing and we are now at 9 minutes on this item. So Dr. Fox, with all due respect, I think, thank you for joining us. Let's move on to the next item, which also is the CU Autism Network CUAN Planning Seed Grant, which is also new. And the primary reviewer is Deb.
Okay. This is a new request by a previously funded entity, CUAN. The request is for $65,217 and is intended for seed money to plan a regional autism support network. Location undetermined at this point. Their aim is to provide support to individuals with autism and their families, increase autism awareness, interaction in the broader community, and amp up self-advocacy and anti-stigma efforts. I think it's the Autism Resource Center would have tremendous merit. There's a need for it. But I did note as the DDB staff mentioned that any funding for DDB is to be used solely for the benefit of Champaign County citizens. And it sounds like this regional autism support facility would be intended for a broader group, a broader demographic. As far as meeting our expectations for minimal responsiveness, the supports relate directly to improving quality of life for people with autism, directly and indirectly. They provided evidence-based sites, relevant websites that kind of ties that together. They noted TAP and CU Able as local providers of related services. There are no written agreements between them yet, but I don't think that's unexpected for a new request. They touch on the use of technology and virtual opportunities, but they don't plan for use of technology during a public health emergency, something to consider. And they mentioned that their staff and volunteers are professionals who can provide budget and nonprofit administration assistance, as they list a CPA. Their staff includes individuals who are likely well-versed with autism in the autism community, such as teachers, speech language pathologists, foster parents, etc. It fits in our DDB priority of self-advocacy very well. Community education and advocacy, individual supports to underserved people. An important note from the staff reviewer is that regarding engagement with members of underserved or under-resourced minority populations, access for these people and rural residents will depend on the location of the center. So virtual options are especially important as transportation is always an issue. a couple of other considerations are that this application to me is a little bit vague. I think that there are a lot of fine details to be hammered out, which will require a good amount of collaboration between CUNA and the DDB staff. I think they need to more closely define the Autism Resource Center development steps, which hopefully will come as the staff works with them. I would like to see that they develop more measurable goals, objectives, and expected outcomes for the program as a whole and for its participants, and increase the focus on use of technology as a service tool. As I said before, especially in consideration of the rural population in our county. And then there are, as the staff reviewer noted, some budget discrepancies and vagaries that need to be fine-tuned. But I think the potential for it to have a great impact is there.
All right, thank you. Georgiana, do you want to make any remarks?
Mine is more of a question, I'm sorry, but isn't this planning seed grant, I should say, isn't the community outreach program contingent upon the planning part of it, the planning seed grant, is one contingent on the other? Like, how can we approve the community outreach program without approving the planning seed part of it?
Well, you can, but you've reached this is a really important point. Dr. Fox is the first time applying in our system and noticed this as well, that if we fund just one program and not the other, then all the budget forms need to be changed. And the more experienced applicants in this room know that. Like, if you allocate a different amount than requested, they have to change all the budget forms. So that's real. But I think like the outreach programs can stand alone without this planning seed grant. And maybe, I'm not sure about the other way around, if they can do the planning without the outreach programs. So you may be onto something there.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Fox put in the chat, no, they're different programs. I saw that flashed on my screen. Thank you, Dr. Fox.
Okay. I'm going to open up my chat. Thank you.
All right. Okay, those were excellent presentations on new programs. And it sounds like we are enthusiastic about the new programs with some caveats that look like they would be able to be worked out. The next one is the CCRPC Community Services Decision Support PCP. This is an existing program. And it's Deb Rush.
Okay, this is a community CCRPC decision support. Thank you. I'm just repeating what you just said, Dr. Robin. The previous year's award was for $388,371 was amended to $370,388. The request this year is for $433,777. It fits under the linkage and coordination priority. It represents a 17% increase over FY23's initial award. This program is 100% funded by the DDB. It has been in place for a number of years. I've kind of lost track of how many, and intends, as in past years, to provide conflict-free case management to individuals with IDD who are on the PUNS list. Those eligible do not have Medicaid waiver funding, may be seeking adult services as they transition from school, or may have a mental health diagnosis in addition to an IDD diagnosis. This program links people with an array of community-based resources such as job, day, and living supports, or assists families with benefits coordination such as Medicaid and Social Security respite. Services are provided in an array of locations throughout the county. The staff reviewer notes that current and prior year data demonstrate countywide access and racial parity. This program funds people through schools, support networks, word of mouth. 461 people were served in PY22 and 274 in the first half of PY23. It's noted to have broad outreach through community events such as the Resource Expo, Unit 4 Backpack Back to School program, Rural Champaign County Special Ed, etc. The case managers participate in transition planning, coordination with provider agencies, and have client visits at home and in the community. They have written collaborative agreements with DSC, Community Choices, residential developers, individual advocacy group, and PACE. The budget narrative details all expenses to be charged to the contract. There's use of evidence-based practices, including person-centered planning, the Illinois Department of Human Services Division of DD Planning Process Model, federal CMS, home and community-based regulations. The staff are credentialed and experienced. They're transition consultants, minimum of bachelor's degree, direct experience with transition planning. Case managers have a minimum of a bachelor's degree in a human services field, plus experiences, and program and case managers are QIDPs. Current program manager has a Master of Social Work and 15 plus years of experience. So very experienced staff. Virtual support is available. The app did not, however, address ways to build on use of technology and virtual platforms, at least as I read. And I did this 2 weeks ago. And that's it.
Okay, that was an excellent summary. Thank you. Georgiana, do you have anything more to say?
No, I don't. It's a continuation of what they've been doing, and just the increase in funds is just due to inflation. So I really don't have anything to ask or add.
Okay, well, thank you very much for that.
I have a question,
Yes,
if that's
go ahead.
appropriate.
Sure.
Regarding I know that the CCRPC has done a lot of person-centered plans for individuals. I wonder what results have come for people as a result of this planning? Because we're talking about unfunded individuals, correct?
Who are you asking that question of?
I guess whoever the representative from CCRPC is.
Well, or staff, because
Or staff.
we have representatives here, but we're trying to have this discussion with board and staff if we can.
And it may be that their staff know better than we do, but Kim Bowdry is really familiar with this program, may be able to answer the question. But you're right. This is the plan. The idea was there are people without state funding yet who are hoping for state funding at some point, in which they will then have that person-centered plan. So the idea was to get there first, and maybe also based on maybe the state doesn't do that because they're concerned about what they might find, that they have people who really need services urgently, So I don't know, Kim, do you want to speak to that? I'm not sure who is here from our.
I was just going to add that the thought on this was to allow a smoother transition when people are selected for state funding, and to also allow for people without state funding to have an advocate supporting them with their service choices. I do think there are representatives from RBC here. I don't know if we want to stay away from that or not.
Okay, well, that helps.
So we could make a comment that you're looking at outcomes measurements, if there are potential outcomes measurements for the individual plans. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so that's a comment. All right. Well, we are not doing very well on time as far as I'm concerned, but we will plow ahead and we will do the best we can. It's just really probably too much for a 2.5 hour meeting, but we'll do our best. The next one is DSC service coordination. And Georgiana Schuster, you are first and I am second on that.
Okay. This is also a continuation of what they have been doing. And it is case management. It is referrals to different programs that are available. It is an increase in funding that amounts to 6%, which we can right off to inflation. I don't see any problems with it in terms of personnel or financials. I really just gave it a go ahead on this one. I don't have any questions about it at all. I think that it's a continuation of what they've been doing, and just a 6% increase, which is very acceptable in today's inflation.
Thank you, Georgiana, and I totally agree. And I just wanted to make a few notes here. I noticed that they had a 24-hour on-call availability for support, which is just phenomenal. And I also note that they served 242 people in 2022 fiscal year, and so far in the first half of 2023 fiscal year, they've served 231 people. So I think that the increase in service should be noted for asking only a 6% increase. I think some of this increase in service is due to services coming back after COVID, but I just wanted to recognize that that was happening. And thank you for doing that service. Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, the next one is Community Choices, Inclusive Community Support, formerly called Community Living. And Debruce, you're the primary. Are you there?
Oh, unmute yourself.
Deb, are you muted?
No, I'm not muted. I had to step away for just a second. I'm back.
Okay. That's a human right. You're up next. It's Community Choices. Are you ready?
I am ready. Okay, the ask is for $198,000 this year. There's a slight increase over what was actually utilized last year, mostly, salary increases. The proposed services would continue the currently funded program, which is longstanding. The program seeks to serve 30 treatment plan clients. 27 people received services in the first half of UY23. This program focuses on adults needing mid-level services. They have a desire to live in the community more independently or more fully within their family homes. The focus is on daily living across domains. It's very individualized, participant-driven. There are 3 potential service tracks involved. The family-driven toward a self-directed living model, sustained community supports based on a given individual's needs, and home-based services self-direction assistance, which is specifically for management of PSWs who are currently available only outside of Community Choices service array, although I do believe CC is working toward in-house PSW training. It's very flexible, it's very person-centered, it provides a wide array of supports customized to fit individuals' needs. The narrative describes in detail how the program strives to improve overall quality of life. Lack of maximization of other funding is explained so that DDB is payer of last resort. HPS will be billed for those within that funding stream. And there's also a private pay option, but I don't believe it's yet been utilized. They provide evidence of coordination of services with other providers. The program does touch on virtual options. Technology training materials have been developed. Participant eligibility is determined by inclusion on the PUNS list. It requires participants to be over 18 years of age and have a desire to live on their own and to gain the skills to do so. And Community Choices coordinates with ISCs to help make these determinations. Cultural and linguistic plan is in place. The Board of Directors has completed CLC assessment, and the DDB staff has noted a need for assessment of CLC at the organizational level. It fits many priorities: home life, personal life, community life, linkage and coordination, self-advocacy, because of the wide array of services that are offered. And the plan describes ways that they engage underserved or underrepresented populations. It addresses inclusion, anti-stigma, staff credentials, and specialized training are discussed in detail. Evidence-based citations are included, and multiple specific tools are used to measure specific outcomes dependent on the track that's being utilized by each participant. A caveat listed by staff is that they should include other pay sources for the program services in the total program revenues, which may affect personnel form, and they should consider continuing the PY23 special provisions. And I don't know if you want to comment on that, Lynn, either one of those caveats.
We've had a great discussion with the agency about about how revenues are represented there. This is a very complicated program for a small agency with small programs. But we really value, I think this board especially values diverse sources of funding. So we'll continue to work together to get it just right.
Okay, thank you. Kim Fisher, do you have any further comments or questions about this proposal?
No, Deb covered everything. It looks great, no concerns. I would
Okay.
recommend funding.
Thank you, Deb and Kim. All right, the next one, Kim, you're primary, and it's DSC Community Living, formerly called Apartment Services.
So this program is a continued program we've been funding for a while. The purpose of the program, the request for funding is $565,480, a 6% increase. This funding will cover about 76% of the cost. They have other revenue in the form of grant or DHS fee for service. Majority of the cost for this program is staffing, and the increase is really due to increased salary and benefits for staff to be responsive to the current inflation. The purpose of the program is to support people with IDD to live in the community. They cover costs of apartment living, supported apartment living. They do things like personalized support, health and wellness, community financial wellness, crisis support, and the inclusion of technology like telehealth and banking online, which was interesting. Most of the services Champaign-Urbana residents, there has been an increase in supports for program participants from Rantoul. They had 49 people served in fiscal program year, 2022, and then 68 people the first half of program year 2023. They have met, targets. 80% of the people will pass health and safety reviews, and 90% will have an activity in the community at least once per quarter. And it seems like their measurement of those targets is pretty good. They are going to increase participants for program year 2024. The organization has a DEI committee. They've outreach to cultural organizations, or they've discussed, but staff noted that they wanted to work more with DSC to reach out to more underserved members of our community. So I didn't have any other concerns. I think that wraps up I recommend for funding with the caveat of the recommendations of staff.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Vicki, did you have any further comments?
Yeah, I did. Just one, and that is my focus as reading these always seemed to be on what are the results for people. And this is a community living proposal. My question is once a quarter enough for people to have a connection to the community in which they reside? That's my question.
This is Kim. Vicki, that's a great question. I agree.
Okay, Kim Baldry, do you have any insight into why that particular parameter was set up?
I do not.
Okay, well, then that'll be an open question. And staff can continue discussing that with the agency. I kind of have a sneaking feeling that that was just a minimal that they can document and that actually more is going on, but that would be a good question to ask the agency. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is Community Choices Transportation Support, which is a brand new program. And Vicki, you are the primary reviewer.
Yeah, let me find that real quick. I've lost track of all my papers here. The transportation support is interesting because they, let's see, where is it? What page is that one on? In the packet?
That's on page 38.
38.
I could
Okay.
put it on the screen if that would be helpful to you.
No. I got the book right here, but I've also got a pile of papers in front of me.
Gotcha.
It happens.
Okay, new request, on the low end for new requests, $119,500. And the purpose of this is, as I understand it, twofold, in that they're going to put additional emphasis on training on existing community transportation, such as MTD, Uber, and Lyft in the community. But for those living outside of the community that don't have an opportunity to utilize those options, they are going to provide some level of transportation using staff and individual cars. So it's not a bus transportation at all. Their plan to be so that people can access community locations, events, jobs, or other things outside of their homes independently of family. There was some discussion in the grant about the use of a voucher to keep track of, I'm thinking that it was to keep track of usage for individual people. I guess my question was, if somebody has a job that they work every day and they need transportation every day, would that be limited in some degree? So that would be a question that I'd have that I would like more information about. Other than that, I think having this new idea for providing transportation for folks who live outside of the city it's a great idea. So.
Okay, thank you. Debruce, do you have any further
I'll
comments?
just add that I just love this request if it works well. You know, just the transportation has been such a dilemma for so many people for so long and so consistently. Such a huge need. So I'm all for it. I hope it works. I did a couple times the word liability crossed my mind, especially when you're talking about personnel, you know, CC personnel driving people. So I just kind of hope that that's not an issue, or that if it, you know, it certainly is a consideration, and so that's really well addressed in the plan.
I think if it works, it could really benefit the county greatly.
I agree.
All right. Well, that's wonderful. Any more comments about that one? Okay, then we'll move on. Vicki, you are still up for DSC Clinical Services. And I'm your back.
Let me find that one now. Okay, so clinical services is a request for $241,000, and it is about access to mental health services for folks with developmental disabilities. They're asking for, it's a continuing program, and they're asking to cover their increased costs and to add another full-time staff person to this. I have very little knowledge of how mental health services work, so I probably was not the best person to review this one, but I think that they certainly are paying close attention to the needs of their clients. And I think that in increasing staff to cover mental health issues is certainly something that is needed by more than just Developmental Services Center, but lots of agencies need that kind of support. So other than that, I really don't have additional comments to add to it. I think it's a good proposal.
Okay, well, I will make a couple of more positive comments on that because I do have quite a bit of knowledge about mental health or the lack of mental health services. And I think this is an extremely important program for us to fund. The 23% increase is to support increased costs and to add 1 full-time staff, as you mentioned. And that staff is a coordinator who will support. They're looking for staff support specialists, somebody to support their staff. So it's not just direct mental health services for clients, it's services for staff to help them in their daily interactions with clients who have mental health needs. And I think that is very innovative and very welcome idea. Again, 63 people were served in 2022, and already in the first half of 2023, 53. So I think we're seeing things opening up with COVID. More people are needing services, and they are stepping up to the plate to provide the services. In terms of measures of access is really important. Access to mental health services is the big problem that I see. They're looking at 90% getting assessment within 30 days and 90% getting services within 30 days of assessment. So I think that is very good, and it's really above the community standard, unfortunately, at this time. So their outcomes measurements are about as good as you can get. CCDDB funds 99.6% of this program, so I think we should approve it.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
All right. Thank you. The next one is also DSC, Individual and Family Support. And oh no, I'm the primary reviewer on that. So I'm going to have to continue. This also continues portions of longstanding program and adds a new position for a person to recruit new providers, identified as the greatest barrier to service. So it looks like a good idea to do that new position. My notes say resource coordinator will increase engagement, especially for rural residents. And the location of service is very flexible, in person and virtual. Again, 41 people were served in fiscal year 2022 and already 36 in the first half of 2023. So it looks like they are hitting the floorboards running to provide services for people as things open up. They have good measures for access and outcomes. CCDDB is 99.5% of the program, and most of the program is to fund salaries. I have a little note that I'm not really sure I understand. It made sense to me when I wrote it. Oh, they have a decrease in their, this is unique decrease in their request for funding, and it is due to an increase in state Medicaid waiver awards, as my understanding. And I also have a note that says this could be considered under the Special Initiatives Fund. Also, the contract could be prorated in the amount until the new position is filled. So those are my comments. And Vicky, you are the backup for this.
Yeah, and I had the same concern that you did, Anne, regarding the decrease in the funding request. I know that more people had been given the Medicaid waiver funding, but I didn't think it was enough to reduce what we currently do additionally in the county. So that is a bit of a concern, but I guess DSC thinks they can handle it. Do they, have people ended their use of that fund over time? I guess if they get funding from the state of Illinois, then they don't need the individual support funding from DSC and from the DD board.
Kim Bowdry, do you have any insight into this unique situation?
I'm so sorry. I was sending an email and I did not get the full question. Could you repeat
Okay.
that, Vicki?
Sure. The question was, are people ending funding because they are getting funding from the Medicaid waiver, or are they just, being dropped off the roll because
Okay.
funding isn't needed?
Yeah, to my knowledge is that this is a little bit of a specialized type of support. And as people are being selected from the PUNS database for services, there are not as many people coming up in need of this type of support. So the need for this support is kind of going away. People are, to my knowledge, not being dropped.
That's what I'm assuming. Yeah.
Sorry that I was sending an email to agencies. So
Okay. Multitasking. Okay. Any more comments or questions about this one? Longstanding program.
Could I
Okay,
just ask one question about that?
sure. Yeah.
I'm assuming that the people that have been pulled from PUNS then primarily are using their Medicaid waivers for home-based services primarily. And so the home-based service waiver, the money that comes from their home-based services is what was being spent previously on this, right? It's home-based. Okay, thank you.
Okay, the next one is PACE, Consumer Control and Personal Support. And Georgiana, you are the primary reviewer.
Right. I'll start with explaining the program. It's a kind of a recruitment and training program for personal support workers. I guess it's also considered a clearinghouse for people who need personal support workers. So PACE recruits people who want to be personal support workers and trains them and orients them, and then provides a link-up service for people who need personal support workers. So it seems to me like the people who will benefit from this program are the users of the personal support workers. But that's not what's stated here. It says that people who are seeking their first job as a personal support worker. So I think that's wrong, but we'll just go on. The scope of services, they provide orientations, recruitments, and they have good what do I want to say? Outcomes, I guess. They hope to recruit 30 PSWs in the program year 2024. And they use community service events, CSEs, as their main form of advertising, I guess, letting people know that they're out there. I guess I don't have any, I think we should fund them. I think this is a need in the community to have personal service workers. I think maybe they're the priority that they're under is maybe should be staff development or our what do we call it? The strengthening the IDD workforce. Maybe it should fall under that, but that's neither here nor there. So anyhow, they're not asking for much more than they asked for last year. Just a simple, well, actually, it's a 32% increase, but it's a small budget, so 32% increase on 27,000 is shows as a kind of a hefty increase, and I believe it's due to just costs of the employees. Just there's one employee there. So I don't have any reservations. I just think maybe their measurements could be improved. Not just use how many clients they're using the word clients sort of loosely, I guess. I think their clients are the people that they're recruiting rather than the people that are using PSWs. So it's just a little bit of a semantics kind of thing.
Okay.
So I would say we should approve this, but maybe just tighten up a little bit on the semantics of it, and who are the people being served, and who are the how are we measuring this? So I just say I would agree with going ahead with this.
Okay, thank you, Georgiana. Kim Fisher, do you have any further comments or questions about this one?
Just a couple for staff. So one of the questions I had when I was reading this was about that they're mostly based in Urbana, and there was a little bit of discussion around that there isn't, was the staff concerned around just their outreach out into the community, but that because most of their work is done through the Urbana office? That's my first question.
No, I think it's good.
Okay, cool. And then the other thing is just staff recommended that this be part of the special initiative funding rather than the current funding. So is that something that we should be recommending in our funding decision?
Well, we could, so the IFS, DSC IFS is another one that we thought might be appropriate. So there are just 3 right now that have been submitted to either board that we thought would fit well with special initiatives, but maybe the CU Autism Network ones as well. So, there are some things that seem to fit really well with that. And something like this, because Georgiana mentioned that to me and Kim before, that it seemed to fit so well with strengthening the workforce, that, and the specific workforce, the Special Initiatives Fund has a focus historically on people who have complex support needs and are not finding services elsewhere. So some of these pieces seem to fit, like IFS traditionally was working with people with very complicated support needs, and this as well. So anyway, like we were thinking we could just include that in our memo to you in May to fund these through the special initiatives, and we have to get approval from the mental health board for the same thing, because it's a joint authority over that. So they are also reviewing these applications just a little more casually. They always rely on the DD board for DD stuff. So that's it.
Thank you. That's it.
Lynn, that's very, very helpful discussion. And very much appreciate this opportunity to use the Special Initiatives Fund. Okay, we are actually doing fairly well now. I'm feeling a little bit better about this meeting, and I'm feeling excellent about this discussion. All good discussion. I don't want to quash discussion. I just want to get it done. Community choices, customized employment. And Debrush, you're up.
Okay, thank you. This request is longstanding. It's a long funded program. There's about 4% increase in ask this year. I believe that's related to increased, salaries. The program focuses on supporting participants to find individualized community-based employment, always good. Volunteer opportunities, always good in the community, based on preferences and strengths, that's good. It involves participant job skills discovery, development, coaching of natural supports. Long-term support is coaching to build natural supports. Longer-term support is provided for on-the-job troubleshooting and training, as well as job expansion. First-time job seekers are provided 12 weeks of real-world experience, job shadowing, and classwork, and services are provided in an array of settings. Eligibility is determined by funds. DDB is payer of last resort. Some participants have DRS funding, which is short-term, it's utilized, and then they transition to DDB funding. The program uses discovery assessments, employment tracking tools, and surveys to define interests. It gauges satisfaction and tracks employment success. It has measurable objectives and outcomes. Written collaborative agreements are in place with a number of service providers: PACE, CC Healthcare, CCRPC, DSC, Urbana Park District, RACES, the Autism Program. Evidence-based practices are cited. The staff have formal training in customized employment plus relative experience. They participate in large events throughout the county, so there's quite a bit of outreach, including rural areas. By its nature, this community-based employment program has promoted inclusion, work to reduce stigma, provides opportunities for developing natural supports out in the community. All good. CLC values are incorporated into community choices, practices, and policies, and CLC progress reports were submitted for the first half of last year, PY23. I recommend funding it again, and that's it.
Okay, thank you very much for that review. Vicki, do you have any comments?
I just want to say I love this program. I love that it's so individualized, and I think that they work very hard to make sure that the person's needs are met within the context of whatever volunteer or job commitment is made. And it's a great program. I support it.
Okay, well, that was pleasant. All right, DSC community employment. And Kim Fisher, your primary.
Yeah, so this is a continued program funding that we've been funding for a while. The funding request is for $459,606. It's about a 6% increase. About 93% of the funding goes to staffing, and our funding covers about 74% of the total cost of the program. So this program is around supporting people with IDD in the Champaign County community to have community employment. So they do job development, job matching, job coaching. They help people prepare, obtain, and maintain employment, as well as paid and volunteer opportunities. So what's kind of interesting about this program, which I thought was kind of fun, was they're adding a program to support people who are employed to have work-life balance. So they're doing some kind of peer group where folks can kind of support each other as they're working, which is a research-based strategy, kind of supporting people through the ups and downs of employment. That was very exciting to see. And so I'm very excited. They noted that they support people with ongoing support. They do, not necessarily overlap with other like community choices, because they support people who maybe are not, the community choices is not able to fund or to support, excuse me. They do things like, one thing I mentioned was like, job training, and then the technology. As someone who does technology, I was very excited to see that they do technology training and support. In fact, they included an article that featured one of their staff at a national publication newsletter in the IDD community about the way they connect people with IDD to use technology through employment and participating in the community. So the only thing I have is just around their targets and like their measurement. So they talked about their targets being, they wanted to have 26 people participate in job development and supported employment. So I just wanted to know, like, what does participate mean? If they could just maybe operationalize that a little bit. Because what does it mean to participate? The next target is 80% will maintain employment for the year. So if they could maybe work to define maintain employment, like, is there a specific length of time? Is it maintained throughout the year? Is it maintained for at least 3 months or something like that? And then they said that 90% will be satisfied with services. And I think they're doing like a randomized, I'm getting programs mixed up, but there was maybe like they're sampling a random set of people who participate in this program and ascertaining their satisfaction. So I just had a question, like, can you gather satisfaction from everybody as part of like your review? Maybe that's a lot of work, I don't know. So that was just the questions I had. But I would, there were some funding conditions like related to, oh, I think maybe, am I correct that there was one position that had two line items for like one indirect, the staffing cost for a staff member was under the indirect line and the direct line. I think this was this program. And so
yeah, it's actually in several.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a technical error that has some expense implications.
Right. So it, like my recommendation would be to fund with, you know, the caveat that they fix those things. So, and then just like, could they maybe further define the targets, the measures? But that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Those are good comments. I'm the second on this, and I agree. I think we should continue funding. The increase is very modest given the financial situation now. I had notes that this program is particularly excellent in the reducing stigma category, and I'm not sure it was put in that, but it's very good. And I just have sort of side questions. The work-life balance training was just excellent, and the tech training also excellent. And when they develop that and get it going, they could do that as a model for the rest of us. We could all take advantage of that because that's just very, very good. So thank you for that. Any other comments or questions about this one? All right, then we will move on to DSC/Community Choices, Employment First. And Vicki, you are the primary on that one.
I am, and this is really an interesting program, a continuing one with a modest increase. I think the increase is 6% requested, which would bring it up to, where are we with that, $90,100. I don't know how it's shared between DSC and Community Choices, but I guess that's for them to figure out. The purpose of the program is to train local businesses to have more knowledge and more acceptance of individuals with disabilities who may want to work in their businesses. And they did a number of trainings this year. They're building a website that has people, businesses on it who are open to hiring individuals with disabilities. It would be interesting to me to know how many businesses that have been trained have actually hired a person with a disability, because the goals really are focused on the number of businesses and the training provided to them. And I think that that's important. But again, I always come back to, you know, how is this working out for the actual people who are doing this? So if there could be some kind of a measure of how that has gone over previous years, I think that could be helpful. It would also be interesting for me personally to see a copy of the training materials, just to see what's being shared with local businesses. But overall, I think it's a very well-intentioned program, and I think that they're doing a good job with it.
Okay, thank you very much. Georgiana, do you have any further comments about this?
I don't. I agree that it is pointed at employers and anti-stigma and inclusion, and it is much needed. I just think we probably need to come up with some different measures for outcome, because how do you measure whether you have changed attitudes and promoted inclusion? So maybe the outcomes, besides being how many trainings they've done, maybe there could be some different way of measuring the outcomes of whether we've made a difference, or this agency, this program has made a difference in people's attitudes towards including people, all people in the workforce. So just maybe in the measurements category, it would be something that maybe they could work on, how to measure that.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any more comments or questions from the board? All right, the next one is Community Choices Self-Determination Support, and I am the primary on that one, so I'll pull my paper up. This is a 3% increase in funding, which seems very modest to me, to a total of $176,500. It's a continuing program, continuing to connect individuals and family with community, and it falls under community life, self-advocacy, and anti-stigma. And I have also a little note here. Again, I was kind of paying attention to this number of people served, and it just seems like across the board, they're going exactly the same thing as we've seen in other ones. 202 people served in fiscal year 2022. Already in the first half of 2023, 157 people. So definitely more people being served. The program serves adults 18 and up. I wrote down that they had good outcome measures. I didn't have any criticism about that. CCDDB is 100% of their program support, and personnel is 90% of their costs. They do have a CLC plan. They have excellent collaboration, excellent outreach, and they do charge a 25% membership fee to people served, but it can be waived. So it can be eliminated for people, making the program very accessible. And those are my comments.
And I think that's $25, not 25%.
Oh, $25. Did I say the wrong thing? Thank you. I was reading and it clearly says dollars. $25 membership fee, quite modest, but it can be waived. Debrush, do you have any comments about this program?
Dr. Robin, you pretty much covered it all. I just wanted to say there was one little staff comment about the app stating that 30% of families are served are rural residents of Mahomet, Fisher, and Rantoul, but no Rantoul residents are shown to have participated in the current and prior years. Is there clarification on that, or just a question? Other than that, yeah.
I have a theory that it's just a statement that wasn't revised completely from the prior year. I think that's right.
Okay, thank you.
Any further comments or questions from the board on this one? Okay, moving along, the next one is DSC Community First. And Georgiana, you are the primary on that one.
Okay, let me give a little rundown on this. This is a request for $890,042, and it is a program that's designed to help people become involved in the community, doing different things that the community has to offer: recreational activities, social events, educational opportunities, volunteering, just all kinds of things that are available in the community. And this is something that is ongoing, has been done before, so it's not new. It's a 5% increase, so that is completely understandable because of inflation. I think that the people that have used it in the past have benefited from it, and their measures for outcomes, measures for participant outcomes. I guess maybe I would question them a little bit. I'm not good at these measurements so much, but it says that 5 people, one of the outcomes in targets will be 5 people will become co-leaders for a group. I don't know if that's a good measurement or not, but I would say just how many people are involved in the program and join this and join that, and just how many people are involved becoming a co-leader. I don't know if it's that's such a good measurement. And also another measurement is 5 people will be opened in community employment for job generation. And again, I don't know if that's a good measurement, because whether a person wants to be involved socially and volunteering and so forth has anything to do with jobs. So I'm just questioning those 2 measurements. It is a good ongoing program, and I would recommend funding it.
Okay, thank you very much for that review. Kim Fisher, do you have
So,
any further comment?
yeah, so similar to Georgiana, I think my main concern is whether we can sharpen the targets to maybe identify the number of different activities that people experience and the types of activities. So are we mostly doing recreation? Are there activities that people are, I don't know, participating in civic engagement? So going to the school board meeting, going to DD board meetings, speaking, so if we could potentially just work with the or agency to maybe refine some of the targets, I think that would just be helpful for us to report back, like, look at all the things that DSC is supporting people to do in the community, and then know what to do more to help people participate in the community. So number of activities, types of activities reported. I think.
All right. Any
and maybe
further?
Satisfaction.
Didn't mean to interrupt you, Kim. Anybody else have comments or questions? Any board members have comments or questions about this one? It's a big program. It's a big part of the funding that we provide for DSC. Okay, the next one is also DSC. It's called Connections. And Kim Fisher, you're primary.
Hey, yes. So, okay, I'm remembering what this program is. So this is a program request for $106,400, excuse me. It's a program to support, interesting program to support people with IDD who have interest in art and music, cultural experiences, or non-traditional employment. It supports people to do creative activities, the selling of art. They work with the shared venue space, their Crow Studio. I did note that they decreased the number of people that they served in program year 2023. So there's fewer people that were being served. But generally participants, some targets that they have related to this program are participants will host or engage in 5 special events to connect people with DD in the greater community. They said that 90% of the people participating in this program will be satisfied with their experience. And then something new, which is exciting, again, I'm glad that DSC is adding a new part of this program, is to collaborate with 2 community artists to teach classes. So I think this is great. I think similar to the previous program and other comments by other board members, Again, I think the targets should be more about, the outcomes for participants. So, for instance, like you're going to host two new teaching classes with artists in the community. So maybe the target could be, that's just an activity in the program, but the target could be like, 5 or 10 people participate in these art classes. That would be maybe a recommendation for a new target. The other idea is how are we measuring satisfaction? If you could just clarify that for the target. I think the only other thing I have for this program is, address the staff concerns related to revenue and budget form. It seems like this is a continued problem for many of the applications from DSC. And then again, gather participant satisfaction. And I'm not sure if this one was also randomly selecting people who participate in this program, but it seems like it's a small enough program you can maybe measure everybody's satisfaction. And then the target for outcome 1, which is to host and participate 5 community events. I put down as a question, could there be a number of hours that people engage in the program as maybe a different target? Could you work to sell the art beyond the Crow? Like maybe a website or place to highlight people's work. So maybe just looking at changing some of the targets. But, recommend to fund with those caveats. That's what I have.
Thank you, Kim. Vicki?
Yeah, a couple additional comments, and I think that, Kim, they did say something about having people put their art on a website somewhere in here. I'm not finding it right off the top of my head, but I think I recall reading that. And this reads to me as somewhat of an extension to the community, what's the one that we talked about just before?
Community first.
Community first, because it also is essentially a short program of several months or something, and then people move on apparently to other clubs and so forth. But it's interesting to me that this is a community program, and yet the primary place that this group of people is served is the Crow. They go to essentially what appears to me to be a day program where they might occasionally go out and do other things, but the primary site is that self-contained program. So just that comment there. I'm not saying it doesn't have a lot of possibilities, but that's the way I'm reading it.
Okay, thanks, Vicki.
Real quick, just to clarify, Vicki.
From Kim Baldry on the chat.
No, and that's Kim Fisher. That's me.
Oh,
So
there's a comment from Kim Fisher. Kim Fisher, I'm sorry, I got confused. Go ahead, Kim Fisher.
So I just wanted to clarify for Vicki. I don't think that they're currently highlighting artwork on a website. That was just a suggestion that I had. Okay. So sorry that I didn't clarify that correctly.
Well, it sounds like they could probably do that. Any other board comments or questions about this one?
Okay.
I must say, I have personally gone to some of their art openings, shows, and they're just really wonderful. So Kim Fisher.
Just one more thing. So like currently the Springer Cultural Center has an art show, community art show right now. And I'm just wondering, do any folks in this program put their art at the community art show? It's a small cost. And that would be just even another community event that is potential for this program.
Okay. All of these comments are going to be considered. All right, the next one is Community Choices, Staff Recruitment and Retention, which is a brand new program. And Deb Bruce, you are primary and I'm secondary.
Okay, great. The request is for $34,000. The priority is strengthening the IDD workforce. Very important priority. Its program is new, as you said, similar in intent to DSC's workforce development and retention program, which was just funded during the last cycle for the first time. We're all aware of the critical shortage of qualified workers. It's worsened and worsened with inflation, increases in minimum wage. So the program proposes to improve recruitment of well-qualified staff by providing 3 incentive payments of $500 each following training and a 90-day probationary period of employment. Retention's incentivized by payments of $500 per quarter for good work and role-specific professional development. Employees that are found to be active and in good standing with the agency for at least the previous 3 months will be incentivized, so that 100% of the agency staff will be compensated at a rate equal to or greater than the recommended Guidehouse study. And in total, 63 quarterly and sign-on incentive payments are expected to be paid out through this grant. Outreach will occur via advertising and job listings, and as part of 3 outreach events that will highlight the benefits of working in the field, along with the importance of supporting people with IDD to become more engaged in their communities. All good. I think it's very well worth funding. There is one intended consequence noted by our staff reviewer that sign-on payments may inadvertently disrupt attempts by similar agencies to do the same thing. So hopefully this won't involve people jumping ship or infighting between agencies that are trying to do the same important work of hiring and keeping well-qualified DSPs.
Okay, I agree with all of those comments. I think it's a very innovative and worthwhile idea, and I think everybody should be doing it. It's a good idea. It's the other good idea would be to increase the salaries for DSPs to a more reasonable amount, but this is
Right.
sort of a stopgap. Well, we're still working on that. And I just had a little comment that I pulled out of this. In terms of the diversity of the workforce of DSPs, it said 87% are female, 60% are people of color, 29% are immigrants, and 50% receive some kind of public assistance. So kudos for diversity, but we're really getting the people who need the help the most. And it's terrible that people who are employed full-time doing very necessary work are paid so little that they still qualify for public assistance. Although I'm glad the public assistance is there for them.
Yeah, and I can personally, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I personally attest to that. I know so many DSPs that have to have a second job,
Yeah.
and really scrape by. They do such important work that I personally appreciate so much. And life is hard. Life is hard
Yeah.
for those folks and their families.
But I think giving this incentive and the extra training, it's more than the money, it's the recognition for the importance of the work that makes a difference.
Right.
And we want to recognize the DSPs for the importance of their work. Any other comments from board or questions from board? Okay, I just want to say we've got 4 more programs to review, and it is 10:30. So I want to thank everybody for focusing, staying on task, asking good questions, making good comments. And I think we're actually going to accomplish this task today. And Lynn Canfield says DSC is part of the Alliance for Inclusion and Respect. Okay,
This is an idea for a website that they could post art to. Anne, could I just
Yeah,
interject? Kim,
absolutely.
the email that Kim sent recently was to encourage agencies, if a question has been asked that has not been answered today, to send us in writing as soon as possible, and we'll share with the board and then put in the May board pack. But there is agency input at the end of this meeting, so there may be time, there may be an opportunity then to answer some of this. I just wanted to let y'all know that, since you're doing so good on time.
Yeah, thank you for those comments, Lynn, and thank you for everybody for being involved, staying involved, and we will move forward to DSC Workforce Development and Retention, which is actually a multi-year contract, and I don't have anybody listed for that. So Lynn, is this just a
It doesn't
continuation?
get reviewed. It's just,
We don't have to.
it's listed on the
Okay.
sheet because it's a commitment that's already been made for PY.
Okay. So duly noted, we made that a multi-year contract, so that's good. And the next one is DSC Family Development. And this is in conjunction with the Mental Health Board. And Kim Fisher is the primary reviewer.
Yes, so this is a family development program request from DSC, program request for $656,174. The primary role of this program is to help support children birth to 5 with developmental disabilities and their families, or any kiddos who are at risk. So they provide just a multitude of services. So developmental screenings, therapies, they provide referral to resources within the community. They provide home visits, they provide visits at daycare, all kinds of services and support. So this program, the staff noted, it fills the gaps for services for folks who don't meet state funding requirements. So like if people can't get early intervention kinds of services, or if there are services that are not billable, and it's like essential because it provides uninterrupted care. And what is great about this program is it serves just a wealth of people across the county. The staff report and in the application, this group just collaborates with a variety of different organizations around the county. And I kind of noted in my notes that maybe other programs might look to this program to kind of talk with them about how they engage just outside of the Champaign-Urbana cities with engaging with people outside the community. There is a 10% funding increase, but just that's to address increased salary and benefits. And the program has run at a deficit. So this is going to address some of this. Let me see if there was anything else that just that this, I think more than any other program that I reviewed very closely, I think this program staff noted that it just serves a significant number of rural residents. So that's a real bonus. There were just a couple things related to the personnel form, and then that staff recommended being fixed before the contract would be finalized. So my recommendation is that it, and I just want to mention, like, the targets and the measures are very strong, very clear. The targets and then the assessment tools are nicely aligned with the targets. So the measurements are nicely aligned with the targets, in my opinion. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much, Kim. And I totally agree with everything that you said. And you covered most of my notes. I did make some notes that this program provides skilled providers with wraparound support. And I really like that particular statement. And these are for services that, as was said, were not billable to other payers, but skilled providers with wraparound support sounds very good to me. with services being in the home and in the community. Very good outcomes, measurements, and assessment goals. I agree. And I wrote down excellent rural outreach and excellent collaboration with other agencies. I also noted in terms of the population served, we're seeing again 815 served in 2022. That's a pretty high number given that we were still under COVID. But the first half of 2023, we are already at 592. So there's definitely a need out there and it is being addressed. And I also noted that 18% of the clients being served identified themselves as Hispanic, which is significantly higher than in other programs. So it looks like this is definitely meeting a need in that community. And it might be possible to continue that on into other services as the children grow and remain in our community, that's pulling them in for services that they will be needing later. So I recommend funding.
This is Kim Fisher one more time.
Yeah,
To add on to your point there, Anne, what makes me think like, if this program is so connected with other communities, you know, obviously those people that they serve, the families in those that they serve in those communities are connected to, you know, churches or neighborhood, I don't know, Elk Lodge or whatever. Potentially those families that are served in this program could maybe help other programs that serve in the adult world, maybe connect with community members that they're missing out of, that we're not reaching in the adult world. That's just maybe there's some opportunity for collaboration. You know, the other thing is like, it's children's services. So like we as a society invest in children's services so much more than we do in adult services or transition to adulthood. So there is a caveat for that, but it's still positive.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Other board members have any more comments or questions about this one? All right, then we will move on to the CC Head Start / Early Head Start, Early Childhood Mental Health Services, which is a mental health and disabilities board program. And this is also a multi-year program, so I guess we don't have to review it. It was extensively reviewed before and enthusiastically supported, so we will just continue to do that. And then the last one, I can't believe this. You all are amazing. The last one that I have is the Chris Healthy Aging, which may be appropriate for partial or full funding through the Special Initiatives Fund. And I didn't have anybody reviewing that, but I did make some notes on it.
I didn't assign any reviewers to this, but we did share the full application with y'all as we did the 2 DDB applications sent to the Mental Health Board to look at. So to your last point, you are right that Head Start is a 2-year contract and it doesn't need to be reviewed. Kim Bowdry did check in with them recently because it's one amount, but they give us an estimate of how much of it can be considered DD services because it's covered under the Mental Health Board set aside commitment. And she checked and it's still, the estimate they're working with is still valid. So we're comfortable that the split, that the Mental Health Board is meeting its commitment to the DD community through the certain amount. There is one other application that they're considering that's brand new that may have a little bit to do with DD screening. We don't know yet. So we're working on that. But this one, we reviewed this. There are some problems with the application. It's a first-time applicant, so they made some mistakes, which make it difficult for us to say how much money was supposed to cover training for DSPs. But this just seems to be a really important, and as you know from public input at the last 2 DD meetings, there is a need. We have seen, I think, over the years that, you know, DD providers do tend to keep people when they start suffering symptoms of dementia, and they do a pretty good job of serving those people, but some training in that realm could be super helpful, and it fits really well under the DD Special Initiatives Fund. What to do with the rest of it, we don't know. So it's maybe they could change this whole approach and provide caregivers just to people with DD and dementia, which would be amazing. So, you know, we haven't talked to them about it yet. We don't know what the mental health board thinks of this application, but we felt you should see it too, in case those things are of interest to you through the special initiatives program.
Okay, thank you for that, Lynn. I did make some notes about this. It's a very interesting new program, and the idea is helping families who are the unpaid caregivers of older adults with dementia, including adults with DD. And I think it's very needed in the community. So a very innovative program, and I would like to continue to learn more about it and am inclined to support it if the opportunity arises. Are we looking at this through the Special Initiatives Fund?
Yeah.
So I think we've got potentially 5 programs under special initiatives. If we looked at the new programs with CU Autism going under special initiatives, and then we've got PACE and 1 program from DSC possibly, and then this program. Am I right?
Well, we weren't thinking about the CU Autism Network ones for special.
Well, you mentioned that this morning.
Yeah, I mean, because we just recently started talking about that. It
Okay.
could be done, or they could stay right where they are.
They could stay right where they are.
Either way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
I think Deb Rouge
All
has
right.
her hand up.
Just one question. Do we have information? Do we have data to help us define numbers of people with IDD and dementia who could possibly benefit from this CRISP Healthy Initiatives program? Okay, so I'd love to support it. I think it's a great idea. I think it could be tremendously helpful, but I'd love to have some kind of hard data to support the number of dollars we would funnel to that particular program.
I mean, it does, I don't think we would use the whole thing because there also, some of this was for the mental health of caregivers, which we all know is important, but that's a mental health specific project. And like I said, it didn't really, there were errors in the budget forms anyway, but importantly, we couldn't divide out what each thing would cost. So there's a whole space for contract negotiation. I don't think we would spend the whole 125,000 requested unless the mental health board was doing a piece of it themselves.
Thank you.
All right. Well, unless there's a second page that I missed, we have actually accomplished our goal. So we will not have to have a meeting next week. What we will do in the coming month is we will have agencies provide answers to questions, comments. We will look at those.
But we actually give them an
yes.
opportunity today to make the comments because we have to write your decision memo the first week of May. We don't have a lot of time.
We do, Lynn. I'm open to that. The rest of the agenda, what we have, how about if we allow from now until 11 o'clock, so the next 15, 16 minutes for agencies to answer questions or make comments based on the questions that were already asked. And then we will do the citizen input. And I don't know if agencies want to do the success part of this program today.
That's when they could do other types of input. So we could just follow the agenda. You have timelines are next. That's kind of 1 second. And I don't know if there's any public input, but the last item is the agency input. So we could take advantage of the remaining time.
Well, schedules and timelines, the most important thing is that we do not have to meet next week. Lynn, you were talking about doing a meeting. I saw an email from you about a special Zoom meeting to talk about the special initiatives.
Well, I actually just needed the board presidents to
Okay,
put together. That's
but you
part of
sent
the
that to,
intergovernmental- in the
Okay.
intergovernmental agreement, part of the coordinated planning is that the board presidents will speak to each other with us about integrated, about how the DD funding, which is under both authorities, is managed. So that's a
Okay.
conversation we need to have. I'm finding it very difficult to add meetings, like, for example, a joint meeting to discuss the special initiatives before May would be very difficult because of people's schedules.
yeah,
So that's why we tried to cover it during these meetings instead. So
Yeah.
the only important thing to say about timelines is that I'm scratching my head trying to figure out how to give more time for reviews. The only, there's not, like, where would we take time? We can't add months to the year. So I'm still thinking about it, but nothing has changed yet.
okay. Well, I just want to congratulate everybody for doing really excellent work looking at the materials that were presented, and thank you to the staff for presenting the materials to us with plenty of time to review. You really treated us so well, staff. Thank you very much for that. And the comments that people made today to me were very helpful and useful, and I hope other people feel the same way about it. Lynn, do we have anything to say about Champaign County Mental Health Board?
They're going to do this tonight and next week. Ta-da!
Yeah, so they have 2 meetings
That's it.
to accomplish because they've got a lot more going on. And again, thank you to staff for your great work. I guess we are ready for citizen input, public participation, if there is any. Is there any at this time?
There's no one in the room with me. Perhaps there's a member of the public on this Zoom meeting.
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, then here we go,
Okay.
Anne.
So we have plenty of time for agencies to tell us about their successes, what they would like to do, and also to answer any questions that have been raised. And I don't know who wants to go first. I'm a little bit inclined. Is Dr. Fox still there? I was a little inclined to give Dr. Fox a chance because they are a new person. All right, who wants to go first? Lynn, can you moderate this?
I think Lynn may have, oh, there she is.
There she
No,
is.
I'm trying to tear down the extra computer and all the extra stuff.
Okay.
I'll do my best to moderate. And
Okay,
I'm fighting nature, by the way, too. Okay, we
all are.
only have 4 agencies here represented, so we could go alphabetically.
Okay,
Is that okay? So Becca and Hannah Sheets are here representing Community Choices. You could maybe respond to anything.
Sure. Yeah, just and I tried to make some notes while you all were discussing. And so if you have other questions or if I misheard, please correct me. I did want to make a couple clarifications that for the inclusive community support application. It was a little bit odd. It took us a while this fiscal year to be fully staffed. So the amount that we are getting, our full contract amount, is actually less than what we asked for next year, but it is our request is less than what our original ask had been for FY23. So and that is just because we are able to shift a little bit more of that funding towards state funding. So I just wanted to make a quick clarification about that. For the transportation services, I also just wanted to just say that those services are going to be available to anybody in Champaign County, including people who live in CU, although we are obviously anticipating that for folks who are living in some of the outlying communities that will have sort of particular value, and the training options and kind of support for using the existing resources in the community for transportation will be available for everybody, although those might be more useful for people in the Champaign area. And then the vouchers that we're planning to use for people, this is a new program. And so that was our sort of initial plan on sort of like how to kind of manage the workflow and the capacity of the program. And we're really anticipating sort of looking at that and continuing to make adjustments as the program moves forward. So we're hoping that we're not going to have to like turn anybody away, but we did want to have a kind of a plan in place for managing that. And that's what the reference to those vouchers was. Let me see. In terms of the 30% of clients being in sort of outlying communities, I think that statistic referenced, including Rancho, referenced like the agency overall, and not specifically people in that Connect or the self-determination program. And it is true that right now we don't have any members in Rantoul, and we do outreach, and we definitely serve people in Rantoul in some of our other programs. So it has been kind of honestly a mystery to us why some of those folks have not been more interested in sort of becoming membership, part of the membership. Although we do see people sometimes starting out in the, the sort of community support and employment side of things, and then sort of seeing like, oh yeah, okay, I feel a little more comfortable with you guys and wanting to get involved in some of those more sort of social and community-based or, community building activities. I think that was it. If there was any other questions, I know that I just kind of to speak to the Employment First LEAP grant, we do track for all the LEAP businesses, for all the positions that we help people get hired for, we do kind of track if those businesses are LEAP trained. And I believe that information gets included in the quarterly reports. I know that Annette and I have talked a great deal, and that sometimes like we know that businesses are hiring people that we don't support, who may have disabilities. And so getting a true measure of that has been really challenging, and getting businesses to kind of respond to our like surveys and questions about their hiring practices and their mindset has been challenging. But it is something, I hope that that we do think about and talk about, and we're still trying to kind of pinpoint the right way to actually get good information about that.
Thank you. That was very helpful.
So there is someone here from RPC, and I'm not sure if she's in a position to answer any questions or if there were any questions unanswered, but just showed my inability to use the alphabet by skipping the I'm so sorry. Jessica, you're here. If you want, I'm so sorry.
No, that's okay. And Angela Yost is here as well and may actually be able to answer a little bit better than I could. Angela, are you okay to speak about the questions?
There she is.
I am here. Sorry. I would just say that, I think that with the person-centered planning process, I think, what's great about it is that we're able to, I'm sorry, is my camera closed? I don't even see if it's working. We're able to make sure that, when we're speaking with the clients or the individuals that we're working with, that, that they're guiding the process, which is really nice. And that, that we're able to make sure that, that what's going into the plan and the outcomes that they're working on is truly what they're wanting to work on. Not that that wasn't necessarily the case before by any means, but it's a little less geared towards, before there were certain goals that had to be in place because the state required them, and so now, it could be something that's as simple as, somebody wants to learn to like cook a specific meal. And so maybe, they're taking, small steps towards learning how to make that meal, or, that's just a small example, but, it's not so geared now towards where they have to do money management, or they have to do medication administration, and it's not to say that those things aren't still important, but it's not necessarily maybe important to that person to work on those things at that given moment.
Absolutely. And then I think there was a question or a comment about access to virtual resources. And I don't know if that was directed specifically to clients served or staff, but there's a program-wide access to virtual support and resources, both in visiting with clients, as well as technical training and access. Many of our case managers are working remotely and are able to connect with their supervisor virtually, attend trainings that way. And so there is that technology available to do that.
Thank you. Okay, you ready? There are a number of representatives here from DSC, each with expertise in the contracts or the program requests that have been submitted. So I guess, you guys are great at organizing yourselves.
I'm just going to jump in first before Patty does, but I think related to personnel forms, I think it's just a misunderstanding. We'll clarify that in writing because I think it'll be easier to lay that out. But I think Patty's going to comment on some clinical issues. Questions?
Yeah, and other people can chime in. I didn't know that we needed to take notes on every question, so I'm going to do the best I can here to tackle a couple of many that got mentioned. So I've got little Post-its everywhere, so I'll go through this as quick as I can. See, there was a question, I think it was Georgiana, that talked about community first and some of the measures. And so I just noted that like 5 people will become co-leaders and leaders in group was one that you mentioned. And so people that are participating in groups, there's like over 30 groups that go out every single week. And those are kind of on a rotation every 4 months or so for people to choose what they want to participate in. Some people choose one, some may choose, every day. They have the flexibility to do that. And some that really kind of rise in whatever the group activities are and choose to be a co-leader or, so there isn't any pressure on anybody to do that. We just want to give them the opportunity to lead a group when they're really excited or passionate about something, or if they are the expert. So it's not a have to, it's just an opportunity. And so I had that one. There was a reference made, I think, in a couple of them about satisfaction surveys. We do send those for every single program out. So, we do collect it. It's just not a formal goal or outcome on all of these. It can be if that's something that we want added. They've already gone out like in the last couple of weeks. So I don't know that I could change who's receiving them this time. But those do happen for every program, not just the ones that are funded through, DDB. So that, Vicki, I believe, asked a question related to community living and about is once per quarter enough of an and I think it's not a number. It was that they have an opportunity to explore. It wasn't one opportunity. Maybe the better word should have been the opportunity to explore community. We weren't really quantifying that they only get one chance to go do something. So it's just that we're giving opportunities for every single person in the program to have access. So I think that was more kind of semantics. Everybody has opportunities. They spend time with their community living specialist. I think we also are starting a group in that program as well that is doing evening opportunities for people to get together. There's a lot of one-on-one support that goes with that program, but then having some group activities that allow for that kind of team building and peer actions too. So that was, I think, one. Individual and family support, that was one of the first questions I think that came up, and that was about, it's not necessarily that the need is going away, and that one I think we will put in writing because I think there's more explanation needed. One-on-one support is something that county funding has done really well in that program particularly, and when they get state funding, it's one amount of money and it's not based on the needs of the person, and so it often doesn't cover the expenses related for everybody. They get one amount of funding, whether they have lots of needs or they have one specific thing that they're wanting as a family. So that one-on-one support when they get state funded, we can't sustain one-on-one support as is. We can't keep opening more and more people for that one-on-one support the way things are right now. But I think whether it was in the application or not, we are wanting to have kind of a forum early in the new fiscal year with stakeholders from the schools, with families, from all different providers and stuff, to really gain who's coming from the schools and what do we need to do as a community to kind of prepare for that, because there is a lot of one-on-one support needed and requests that aren't, not necessarily assuming that DSC is the one to do it, but we do think that there's a pretty big gap in service there that needs some attention. So that it's not going away. It's just the sustainability of it in the moment isn't something that is working very well. So I hope that I don't want to minimize the need, because it's there and we can have more conversations about that. Community employment, I just heard kind of through the conversation that just maybe beefing up, and I wrote down that there were some suggestions about changing those measures. I guess we can work with Lynn and Kim to find out if you're wanting to do that for this application cycle, or if we're wanting to replace or modify those. We'll just work with staff, I think, to look at a couple of those. There were 2 programs, I think, for that. And Connections, Connections does, it's more of a venue for people to create things that they can sell and be paid for. And that's what makes it different than the other Community First program. I think Extension is probably a good description, but it's very different in terms of what's being offered there. And then like it was a site for the Boneyard Festival this weekend, and there were over 400 people that came through there, and people were selling and showcasing their art and the things that they do. There is a website that sells their merchandise year round that people can go to. I like the idea of kind of highlighting maybe somebody specific, but there is access to that information through a website that's selling products that people are creating. And I think with that, they kind of try to there's some common things that they sell every occasion, and then they're also trying to introduce new items to find out kind of what the buyer's market is, and if it's something that would sell if people produce it on a larger scale, or if it's not a good use of their time, because you want them to be paid for what they're doing. So I think that's something that we can talk a little bit more, maybe be more specific about. So I don't know if any of those comments are things that you would like us to still put in writing after this, or if those comments help. Let me know what you need, and then I will kind of defer just for a second if there's anything that I missed that any of the other clinical directors wanted to speak to real quick. But Lynn,
you don't need to put it in writing. I think we got it, and we can work with you, as you said, we can work with you on a lot of this. Thank you so much. But yes, let's hear what program directors and managers have.
I just had one thing to say about the individual and family support program. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that the day program piece of our request for funding, that is going away for our request. We're not asking you to fund day program, but I wanted to reassure you that the individuals that were are currently right now supported in individual and family support will continue to be supported in a day program. If you grant our proposal as it's written, those individuals will be transitioned to our Community First program, and they will no longer be in one-on-one support through the IFS program, but they will still maintain a day program and be supported in our Community First program. So I just wanted to clarify that. And it is as a result of so many people getting funding for day program through home-based support. And as Patty mentioned, the rates are so low from the state level that we can't maintain the one-on-one, but people are supported in small groups, and that will continue in Community First. So it'll be a small group of 1 to 2 to 3 people. So just wanted to let you know that.
Hi, this is Annette. One thing I wanted to say also about the comments about the co-leaders and that being something that we track. One of the things that we really want to do with the Community First program is to help people develop the skills to access the community. Also, when they're not with us, we're only there with them part of their day and part of their week. But by becoming a co-leader, the staff person actually meets with that co-leader ahead of time and helps them think about how to organize, how to plan. There's just so much available in our community that, you know, the time we spend with them is just a small part of that. And it's been nice to see people starting to develop relationships outside of the time that they spend with us.
I had a quick question just in general on if you could clarify like what it would mean to move one of the programs that we applied for to the special initiatives and how that would impact the money and what it looks like.
Well, we started with the quite literal move the application over to that fund, and there's a cost to us for cloning it over. So we were thinking, what if we just leave everything with the board that where the application was submitted, but fund it through the Special Initiatives Fund? You know, it's still going to require both boards to approve the use of special initiatives funding, but it would allow the agencies to continue, you know, like makes no difference technically, you know, just
it's just an allocation of the funds basically.
Yes, because
okay.
Right, because we have enough money in the fund to do this set of programs for about 3 years, and then they would have to go back to regular DDB.
To the other application. Yeah, that's what I was just trying to understand, like what it would look like. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a bump basically for a while. Yeah. So if y'all are ready, I think Mel is still here from PACE, and Sherry is also here. So if you want to respond.
I am here. So I made some notes, so if I forget something, just let me know. So I guess one of the things that I want to say clearly is that I would discuss with Sherry about possibly changing it to strengthen changing it the category to strengthening the workforce and stuff. That I think that's okay. That's pretty okay and stuff. So, and the other one was I would work with my supervisor to kind of reviewing those narratives to make sure to kind of target of how to specifically show how this program is benefiting the population of IDD. But originally, I just want to mention to you guys that you guys funded this program because we were recruiting. We were recruiting first, building this database, because we're addressing this gap of not having any personal support workers. That's why we did the database, the PSW database, is to address that gap of finding if someone in the population, an IDD, reaching out, they'll be able to find a list or provide referrals so that they could get some PSW. But as this program, as you guys know, has been funded by CCDDB for several years and stuff. So we see the changes of a lot of IDD consumers are accessing the program and able to find a list rather than seeking out ways to find a PSW. So in turn, it benefits that population because they were able to find a list of PSW. So I guess in the next years or so, we're hoping that besides being heavy on recruitment, we would like to show with you guys how it benefits the IDD world. One of the things that I wanted to mention to you is another thing is a lot of the consumers that have known about the program are coming back because it's an easy service for them to say, hey, do you have any more lists for me to review, rather than them seeking out on their own and trying to advertise and stuff. They are able to access it at PACE and have several options of people that they wanted to consider as a PSW. And on that note, I just want to mention that it is reported in our quarterly that who are benefiting from the program and who found successful matches for PSW. So yes, we are reporting about who we recruited, and we are heavy on that one, but we also reporting who benefited from the service. So, but I did note that if any of the outcomes needs to be changed or redefined to be able to show that, I'll be willing to work with it and stuff. So also, and I think that's pretty much it that I noted and stuff like that on our end, unless I missed any more questions on PSW. But again, hoping we will grow some more, because in the beginning of this funding, we were supposed to just recruit PSWs. Now we're seeing that we are showing consumers that are benefiting from the program. Anything else? Oh, and I do have a question. When do we show our success and all that stuff? Is that later? Oh, I can do it now?
Yeah, there's,
Okay, good.
it's just a single agenda item for successes and agency information, which all of these responses are great agency information. So if you want to switch to successes now, yay, let's do it.
I promise I'll be quick. I just have a few, three good news for our program. One of them is that, as I said, a consumer that is always a repeated accessing the PSW now know that there is option. So they have called me again, and now I'm working. They found another one on the registry this month, and then I'm working with that employer and employee on hopefully filling out the paperwork to be successfully added to be employed as a PSW. So that's one our success this month. And second of all, I just wanted to share with you guys. I was pretty happy. I have someone from a different county that an ISC from a different county that reached out to PACE. That they have a consumer that is moving to Champaign County, and I think this is part of continuity of service. Someone moving to our county, and we have this service. We're starting to collaborate because she's reaching out to us. They heard that we have a PSW registry, and so she's trying to put together the services so that when they move to our county, then they'll be able to access the program and be able to find a PSW for that consumer. I think that was a great thing to do, because if they move to our county, they don't know what services we offered. But this is one thing that she reached out, and this person is coming from ISC that's serving Will, Grundy, and Kankakee County, so which is adjacent to us. But if they're moving to Champaign County, it will definitely benefit someone. And then the last thing I promise I'll be quick. The last thing I want to share is PACE is doing an art workshop this summer. So I will be sending it to you guys, to Lynn and Kim, the flyer. But it is we are collaborating with the University of Illinois. They have an art instructor that is coming over to PACE, and it is available to anyone that would like to sign up. She's going to work with consumers in an individual basis of doing tile artwork. And then also another part of that, they'll be doing a group project, a group art, and hoping to be make it like a collage or something. So, but they're going to put together a tile work, a group together and stuff, but there will be 4 sessions of that. It's a workshop. So if anyone is interested, please share the flyer, because I think it's a great. So hoping we would show off the finished product by the end of it. We will have it in our conference room, or eventually we'll be able to have a show for it. So, but it is available for any consumers who are looking to expand their techniques or their knowledge about art. I think that's it for me.
Actually, Mel, there's a question in the chat. Georgiana wanted to know, when someone employs a PSW through your registry, how much is the PSW paid?
So great question. So it is for the home base, the rate of pay is negotiable. So we always talk to each consumer, each PSW employer, and say, hey, I want to just tell you this market rate, which is what a PA for Department of Rehabilitation Services makes. But you're not required to pay for that rate. But I just wanted to let you know about the market rate and stuff. But so it is the decision of the employer on how much to pay that PSW. Many of the consumers on our program, the employers, they have resources, like if they have the home-based money, they can also if they are through respite, they get paid through that funding, or even so home-based PS respite, and even if they are private pay, some consumer that calls us are also private pay, and they receive referrals. So we pretty much just guide the consumers on possible paying for their PSW. And like, for example, like the one that I just shared with you guys in the success, I'm helping the employer navigate the paperwork so that that PSW can get signed up to access so that they can get paid as a PSW. That's one of the examples. So there's different sources. Did that answer your question? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Other than that, pretty much that's it for me. I'm sorry to take so much time, but I will share that flyer. Please share, because it's a wonderful opportunity, and we're hoping to grow with it and have several more sessions to provide art in our community.
All right, thank you. So are there other successes? Okay. Dr. Robin, I think it's board to board stuff now, board announcements.
I had muted myself. Any board announcements? All right, well, I want to thank everyone for really an excellent meeting. And Lynn, I hope the meeting this evening goes as well as this one did. And I'm going to call this meeting adjourned, and I'll see you all next month. And we can continue conversations personally and with the staff. Thanks to everybody. Bye.
Bye.